Welcome to another 5-star edition of Props to Consider and Then Maybe Bet. I am your host. I am the Paragon of Virtue, Lou Betya, welcoming you to break down all the props to consider and then maybe bet for UFC Vegas 73, Mackenzie Dern versus Angela Hill. I am joined by the person I have broken down the most props with ever and have probably bet the most shoeys with, my guy Mike. He's the couch warrior. Mike, everybody seems not excited by this card. Please tell me you are actually excited by this card and see a lot of bettable spots.
You know, there's fights I'm very excited for. So while the card might not be the shiniest, there's definitely a few fights that I'm glad are here and that I want to see go down. I mean, we'll talk about a bunch of them. For me, it's Hernandez, Shabazian in particular. But yeah, it's a pretty good card. I've got mostly props. I usually prefer to do money lines and parlays. This week, I'm almost totally on props, so gonna have a lot to talk about.
All right. And if you guys are watching, please hit the like button on this video. Please subscribe to the MMA Engine channel. It all helps. And as I've put down in the crawler below, please go follow the Couch Warrior at Couch Warrior Pod. Go to his YouTube channel. He's been growing big. It's good to see. Let's just get right. Enough pretense. Enough of this crap. Let's get right to it. I'm just going to leave these fights. Oh, what is going on here, man? Oh, I shared the wrong thing, didn't I? An idiot. I literally have two fucking Tapology things up right now. So very professional start to the day at 2 p.m. All right. We're just going to rip through the card. Any props that we have, we're going to talk about. If not, we're just going to keep moving. Mike, I'll let you start here. I know you have a bet here. Takashi Sato against Themba Garimbo.
Yes, I have Themba Garimbo by submission. I just pulled up the line, though. It's so shot now.
What did you get? Was it 350 the last time I looked?
I got plus 370. I got plus 475, and I put a quarter unit on it. Now I'm seeing plus 350 if you can get it on BetMGM. I think that's good. At plus 200, I don't know anymore. I think his ground game is pretty good. I think he's got the pressure, and Sato hasn't shown the best submission defense. I understand Gunnar Nelson didn't sub him, but it's also a completely different style in a different situation. It's Gunnar Nelson. We did see him get submitted by Miguel Beza in not the most impressive fashion. So I do think that Garimbo can sub him. Sato 3 sub losses. My concern here is just Themba getting knocked out, but that's why I kept it to just the sub and no money line. I like the sub spot here.
Yeah, and I'd worry about Garimbo. I don't have anything on this one. I'm probably gonna play the under. I'm waiting for the weigh-ins for a lot of bets, and that's why I haven't put anything in yet because there's at least 4 fights in this card that I need the scales. And we'll talk about them as we get there. But I worry about Garimbo's cardio. I also worry about the fact that he does tend to lose top position. Like, I mean, the Gunnar Nelson fight, he hadn't fought in years. And like, I don't think he wasn't pressing for a sub. He was content to sit there. Sato was content to lose the fight. Garimbo's not going to be content. He's going to be hunting subs. I know, like I said, he has a tendency to kind of lose position, but I don't know if Sato's good enough to force him to. I did take a look at the other side just to look at Sato's KO props. They're terrible. Like, they're not worth it at all. It's a plus 175 for his KO. Even his round 3 is plus 1,000. I don't think, not enough meat on the bone for a round 3 there. So I favor the Garimbo side. I'm with you, though. I mean, like, I think sub is, if you got a good price on, it's live. If not, I don't know. All right, let's move on to everybody's favorite money line parlay piece of the week, which I hate this kind of shit. But Victoria Leonardo against Natalia Silva. I'll start off first. This is a total wiki capped play. Leonardo seems to like to die in the second round of fights. Silva round 2 is plus 400. It doesn't look like she's in any rush early either. She gets the striking going. She's pretty patient the first round of the last 2 fights we've seen. You can't really look at the tape before these last 2 fights of Silva. She's a whole different fighter. So, I mean, we're going off the limited stuff. She's looked great. Leonardo, I guess she's better than Bleda. Maybe. I don't know, man. Well, I don't know. It depends on how highly you rate Bleda. I don't know, man. Silva should roll here, but I'm going to go round 2 at plus 400. Anything you like here on this fight?
Bleda will destroy Leonardo. Terrible matchup. But, yeah, I mean, dude, I just saw Silva is minus 2,000 on Bet Rivers. People are out of their minds with this. This is not Valentina Shevchenko. Huh?
Is she Bo Nickel?
Or like Shevchenko like 2 years ago? I don't know. But Yeah, she should dominate. My two things here that I went with, I played the sub plus 250. She's got 9 sub wins, I believe, or 7. Most of them by armbar. The way I see it is, what does Leonardo do in a fight? She's constantly pressuring, and going for those takedowns, but they're not set up well. Her neck is always out there. And I think that's going to give a lot of opportunities for Silva. And if she does get taken down, like I said, most subs by armbar, that's going to be there for her. And a club and sub for me is also entirely possible. She could just knock her out, or she could bring her to the ground after and then finish her there. I thought the plus 250 was a good shot. I put a half unit on it. And I've been going back and forth all week about the under 2.5 at minus 140. On first glance, it's like, yeah, I like it a lot. It's cheaper than Silva ITD, but
which is weird. Which is weird.
Very weird, but I'll take it just in case Leonardo does something insane, flying back kick knockout. But I have some hesitation with the under. I feel like Silva, we like her so much just based off of these two performances, but like she had Jasmine in a bunch of bad situations, didn't get the finish there. And Leonardo's got heart, and when she is getting finished, it's normally late, and it's almost always head kicks, which is something Silva could do. But I just have some concerns with it maybe not going under. I did a half unit. I did a half unit shot on minus 140, under 2.5.
Yeah, I'm probably going to get there as well. All right, let's move on to Twitter's favorite fight of the week, Chase Huber and Nick Fiore. I have no idea what your action is on this fight, and I'm probably going to have to use my my Lou warning when it gets to me. So what do you got on this fight? Any props that are sticking out at you?
In terms of props, I did the fight goes to decision. I got a plus 195 for a half unit. It's plus 145 now. I think this goes over, honestly. I think this goes to the decision. I think it's going to be an absolute scramble fest. I agree with people that Nick could win the exchanges on the feet. He probably will, but I don't think he's got the power to knock out Chase. It'll have to be attritional, and I don't think we're going to be on the feet enough for that damage to add up. I just think it's going to be scrambles. I personally think people are overplaying the jiu-jitsu Fiore, so I have a concern maybe Chase does sub him. But I think the most likely outcome is we go to a decision. It's plus money, and that way I don't have to care who wins. So that's the way I decided to tackle it.
So I think the over 1.5 at minus 170 is still a pretty good parlay piece. I don't think it's unreasonable. Here, I'm going to need to do that. Once a show, I probably have to do this. So let me just put the disclaimer up on the screen. So Hooper decision is plus 400. I think that's kind of interesting look. I don't think I'm going to do it. I just like the number there. Whenever we have a Twitter war where people are so super confident in two guys with so many red flags, Fiore's tape is pretty terrible. Hooper's moving up in weight. He's not the strongest guy physically. His striking is shit. I hope this fight ends in a goddamn draw and everybody's fucking miserable. That's what I hope for in this fight, that it's a draw and then everybody can just argue for months over why their bet got hosed and all this shit. I don't think it's a yam bag shot, but like gun to my head, I'd pick Hooper, but like, because at least he's fought better guys. But I don't know, man. There's a lot of people super confident on this fight, and I am not one of them, Mike. I am not one of those people, and I think your look is the best. Take
I
the
lean
over.
Hooper, man, money line wise. I'm
Fiore,
not playing it. But
Fiore's so low volume. Like he was so low volume against Rebecca. Like
my other thing is like everyone's talking about this coming up in weight thing. First of all, like Hooper isn't already bigger. Second of all, as if the guy who just knocked him out wasn't a 155er up until the fight before his fight with Hooper. And also, if you look at Nick, do you see a ripped 155er or do you see a 155er with love handles? Because I see a 155er with love handles like me.
He's a 155er that seems to walk around at like 162.
Yeah, so I don't feel like this is going to be such a. There's other fights where you should be more concerned if Hooper's coming up to 155 than this one is my point, I guess.
Yeah, all right. So good luck everybody on Twitter except me, since I'm gonna that over 1.5. I think Danny Lags is on it too, and I'm like, yeah.
I don't have many parlay pieces, but I might look for something with that.
So, and here's another fight that I'm seeing a lot of people on Twitter on the Latifi side here. Ilir Latifi against Nascimento. I will go first here. Latifi's already talking about retirement. We know what that means. I don't think Nascimento is great. The Badeau fight was fucking weird, man. Like, he just like gave him a takedown. Like, they fell on the ground, and like he's like, okay, I don't know, he's all right, but I can't ride with Latifi here. I think the Nascimento sublines are interesting. I know Latifi has no neck, but Nascimento's sub plus 400, sub 1 plus 700, kind of interesting to me. I think Latifi's done after this, and it may not take much to tap him. He may get in a compromise position to be done. If you're on the Latifi side, I assume you're taking Latifi decision like Dixon is, but I'm going to play. I think I'm going to get to Nascimento sub at plus 400. I think it's a pretty good price. What do you have on this one, Mike?
Yeah, this one's hard for me to break down because if none of the tape on Nascimento shows anything with him getting taken down or testing his takedown defense. That 100% on the UFC stats, it's off of one takedown attempt from Dontel Mays. So I can't bet the fight without knowing how it's going to look with the takedown defense. Because if it's there, I think it's him all day. He's way bigger, 10 years younger, easily the better striker without any doubt in my mind. And it's really going to come down to the fact that can he get taken down? And if he does, can he get back up? Apparently, he's got really good jiu-jitsu. We haven't gotten to see it from his back. Maybe he's got great sweeps. He can get right back up. Latifi's heavy, though. He's a big, stocky little mini refrigerator guy. And if he's on top, it might be really hard. So I feel like this is such a good pass fight. In terms of a prop, I think the best one might be what Lou said, a sub with Nascimento. For me, just like, where is the sub going to come from? Is it going to be
flying toe hold?
Maybe. You can't really be a guillotine because Alir's neck is like not there.
He doesn't have right. He's just a head. He's a head with arms. That's all he is.
And then I don't know much about like head, like triangles from when you're on bottom. I don't know if a neck matters there. That could be live. An arm bar could be live. I just don't know enough about his sub game, but that's definitely the one sub I looked at. I'm seeing plus 525 just on the sub on Bet Online, which I think is pretty decent.
I don't know what FanDuel's is. I know DraftKings has it at plus 400. DraftKings is really like screwing us on these props now, man. Even like the round 3 props, they're like everything's coming in a little tighter now. Like the days of the round 3 Kyler Phillips sub or at 35-1 are long gone, man. Although there is a round 3 sub we're going to talk about, but that's later.
We'll talk about it later also, but like some of these late props, the bookies are so on it. They're like, nope, you're not getting that.
I know they're killing us, man. They're not giving us value, but all right, Orion Kosai versus Gilbert Urbina. I think you and I are on the same side here. I will let you start off.
Yeah, I'm on the Urbina side, and honestly, I got there kicking and screaming the whole week. I thought I wanted to bet Kosai. That's why I did not bet Urbina at those great dog odds. And after much discussion with people I respect, I looked back at everything that I was thinking, and I decided, you know what? It makes sense to take Urbina as the dog. Bigger guy, also a good wrestler in terms of credentials. I looked into both of theirs. They're both high school wrestlers. That's all they did. Urbina at least placed 5th at states in Texas. That's pretty impressive, more so than what Kosai's achieved, which is nothing. He just wrestled. So, because otherwise it's hard through the tape to know who's the better wrestler. For me, it's very difficult. I kind of think it's Kosai, but I feel like with the size of Urbina and Urbina's wrestling, he can also maybe get takedowns. I think his takedowns will come off the fence, whereas Kosai maybe at range. So this fight's been rough, but yeah, I ended up with Urbina, the size, the striking, his own grappling. My issue, and that's why I have a prop ready. I'm just waiting on a different line from a different book. Urbina's cardio freaks me the hell out. I know that he was short notice against Battle, but it came so suddenly because he won the first round. He did go for the finish. That might have gassed him even more. But in the beginning of round 2, he's still looking good. And then he goes for a takedown, doesn't get it. Battle gets his first takedown immediately with like no fighting back, just gets choked out with a rear naked choke. And he must have been gassed. Kosai, he seems to gas, but in the 3rd round, he's chilling. In his Matt Dixon fight, that's the round where he won. He came out there against a guy who was grappling him for 2 whole rounds, and he ended up getting a finish. And with the way Urbina is, and I don't love that he's a little bit hittable, in my opinion, even though he's a better striker, he can get knocked out. So I'll be looking for Kosai round 3 props and Kosai round 3 knockout props. Right now, it's plus 1,600 on Bet Online. That's not good enough for me. If FanDuel gives me plus 2,000, throw a 1/10 of a unit on that. I'll keep my half unit shot on Urbina, and I'm going to call it a day.
All right. So this is one I'm definitely waiting for the scales for. We haven't seen Urbina in a long time. I need to see what he looks like. Like, it's going to be that simple. I'm playing Urbina sub round 1. And I just want to add to what you said, because we didn't really talk about much on the Kosai side. I think his health is crappy. Like, this dude's been sick a lot ever since he got, I don't want to get into like any politics shit here. You guys can go search all this shit that happened with Kosai and the vaccine, like all the complications he's had. Narco was saying something the other night. His left arm was numb against Blood Diamond. I mean, that was a terrible look, that fight, I thought. I mean, I hate making bets that are negatives, and I hate just betting on somebody to go against another guy. But if Kosei is this physically shot, I think Urbina could just take him down in round 1 and get him out of there. So, especially if Kosei is having, like I said, if he's having all these issues, if he's not training at 100%, you got to think, like, if you look at Urbina's socials, it looks like he's in fucking fantastic shape.
Yo, can I ask you, because Liz said the same thing on my show, where can you send me a link to his new Instagram? Because the Instagram I'm finding is he hasn't posted since 2021. And everyone's saying he's got these new pictures that he looks good, and I haven't seen them.
I'll send it to you after the show.
That would help with the bet.
Okay. I'll send you his OnlyFans too.
Oh, that's even better.
All right, moving on. Karolina Kowalkiewicz against Vanessa Demopolis. I will start this one off. I will say, first of all, I fished around with my inside source at Factory X, who shall remain nameless. You know who it is, I'm sure. And I'm like, so why is Demopolis at Factory X? Because this doesn't seem to make sense. Like, what are they going to do? Is she going to stand up for 15 minutes? Like, I don't really understand. Like, Fight Ready seemed like a better camp for. I don't know if you agree with that or not. That is just my opinion.
I do strongly.
So I know there's a lot of people on this Demopolis sub, and I was talking with Wheezy today about, like, Kowalkiewicz, when she gets finished, it's in the first round. Demopolis wins, it seems to be in the first round. Her round 1 prop is like, I think fight not to start round 2 is like plus 500. And he's debating it. It fits all the metrics in his prop template, even though the eye test would say otherwise. I don't see a finish here. I don't think Demopolis, I mean, look, I can only say the whole look against Oliveira, her struggling to get takedowns, does not give me a lot of confidence. Kowalkiewicz being, as shop worn as she is at this point, fight-wise, this is not, I don't mean that insultingly. She's got miles on her as a fighter. I don't know what she's doing anymore. Like, there's no path to the title for her. Like, she's just kind of riding out the contract, I think Demopolis split decision at 10-1 is crazy mispriced in a fight that I think goes the distance a lot. And it's so evenly lined. Kowalkiewicz is plus 600. Demopolis is plus 1,000. I really don't understand that. And she's going to have the optics with the takedowns if she's ending the round on top. So I think at 10-1, it's kind of interesting. I don't really have an interest in betting a side, but I do like some good split decision props. Mike, what do you got here on this one?
Yeah, I mean, I'm in an island completely because I do think Karolina is going to win this fight. And, like, man, I feel like Vanessa doesn't have the wrestling to really dominate her. I don't think she does. It's not that good. You got a 75% takedown defense from Karolina. And I was just looking back, like, the last time she got controlled pretty well against Yan Junan, a woman, in my opinion, who's a lot, not my opinion, fact, she's much bigger than Vanessa, much bigger, much more physical than Vanessa. Can Vanessa get her down? Sure. For me, it's a tough fight really to break down. I just overall think Karolina's a better fighter. I think she's going to win. I'm waiting on her money line. In terms of props, though, I decided to go under rather than just playing Vanessa's ITD props because I am not counting out Karolina to get a finish like everybody else. I understand the most likely way it ends is Vanessa, but because I think it can go either way, I just did the under 2.5. I got it at plus 220. I put a third of a unit on it, not a crazy investment, but I just felt that I do think this is going to go under. I think it's a super sneaky spot with the way the line is, and I think that people are counting out KK here, and I think she's going to win, and I think she can win inside the distance. And if she doesn't, I think Vanessa, if she wins, will be ITD, and then I cash my ticket. So I like that spot. I did play Vanessa sub plus 2,000. Not Vanessa, Carolina, but I'm not tracking that. That's just for me.
That's a sick one if it hits. All right, let's move on to the next fight. Fight number 7. Mashate, who is 0-0 in the UFC against people not named Garcia, versus Slavaklaus Vashislav Borschev. Mike, start this one off.
Yeah, I mean, this is a dream matchup for both guys, particularly Borschev, because he finally gets a guy who doesn't really wrestle. And he gets a guy who I think he's a much slicker striker than. Mashate super explosive. Borschev, just in my opinion, much slicker, much cleaner, mixes it up much better. He's going to knock him out. I did not play his knockout prop because I didn't think it was really that great. It's
terrible.
Plus 140, plus 150. Yeah, that sucks. I got his money line at minus 138, so I'm not like super tempted to go prop hunting. I mean, the real winners, I'm sure Weezy told you, Lou, how he hit the Mashate round knockout props. You know all about that?
Now, what did he do?
So the bookies messed up. Whoever did this is so fired. Mashate KO round 1. Guess what it opened at?
Is this on Bet Online?
Mm-hmm.
20-1.
4,000 to plus 4,000.
And they didn't negate his bet.
No, but now it's plus 700. Then the next one, Mashate round 2, opened at, it's not loading. I'm pretty sure it was plus 4,500. It's now plus 900. And the round 3 was plus 55. And now it's plus 13. They voided it.
Your boy's saying they got voided.
Scum. But those would have been beautiful. Those are decent spots if you like Mashate. But I think Slava's going to knock him out. Slava by decision. Let me see. Plus 375 I'm seeing. Plus 420 on Bet Rivers. It's just like, does he really throw enough to be confident he's going to win all the minutes and just play it that way? I don't know. Because, like, Mashate's probably going to throw more, no, Lou? Probably going to throw more.
See, I don't have any fucking idea with this fight. So I've gone back and forth so many times. I was reading that Mashate was working with Shailin Nurbeke last fight, and they were just working on wrestling. If there's any takedown upside here, even though he hasn't shown it in the UFC, there's any takedown upside here, it's probably from the Mashate side. Do I think he does it? If he's getting his ass kicked in the first round, if he's getting outstruck, yes. I think he could at least attempt it. At least he could get Borschev thinking that he's going to do it. And it would be wise of him to at least have the threat of it. He doesn't have to take this fight to the ground and worry about it, but at least to have the threat gets Borschev thinking it's not just some 15-minute boxing fight. If it is a 15-minute boxing fight, I favor Borschev. I talked about this earlier in the week. One of my guys, look at the two guys that Mashate's. He's a younger guy and he's going to improve. But the two guys that Mashate's faced, he faced Steve Garcia, who just is like going to run 100 miles an hour into you and like, let's fucking go. And then he fights Rafa Garcia, who is another, let's go 100 miles an hour and let's fucking go. Steve Garcia is not the most durable guy. Rafa Garcia is. 1-on-1 in those fights. Borshev's not going to give him that kind of fight. Borshev's going to probably stay outside, throw a lot, keep distance, be technical. He's the most technical guy that Mashate's fought, like by far. So I think Borshev's decision is kind of interesting. Because Mashate he's been rocked, but he's shown pretty good durability. If Borshev's working the body, it may like take all the volume out of Mashate late. So maybe I just want to see the Slavaklaus dance, to be completely honest, and I'm just so biased in that regard. I favor Borschev. There's no chance I'm betting this. I missed a number on Borschev. The under's juiced as shit for a guy that's shown pretty good durability. So I'm just kind of, I'm laying off this one completely. But at your price for Borschev, I love it. So how we move on? All right. By the way, we got 25 of you live in chat at 2 p.m. on a Thursday when we just decided to do this show live like an hour and a half ago. Thank you, each and every one of you, for tuning in. If you haven't already, go follow Mike. Go DM him with like tons of soccer bets. He loves that shit. He eats that shit up, especially when it's like Romanian League 2. He loves it.
Soccer freaks me out, man.
Moving on, Michael Johnson against Diego Ferreira. I will start this one off. It's time. It's time. It's time to put this guy up. The last Yambag hit on the show was Ed by God Herman. I am playing Johnson Ferreira to have a Yambag shot. We get Southpaw versus the Orthodox, two older fighters. I have concerns about Ferreira and his layoff. I have concerns about his cardio. I have concerns about Michael Johnson's perpetually horrendous fight IQ. I think a lot of weird shit can happen in this kind of fight. For a prop, I was talking to your guy, Big Steve. And I know he's on the Johnson KO, and I'm like, isn't this like a perfect fight for Johnson to lose by split decision?
I thought he's on Diego.
He thinks Johnson KO. I thought it's what he said. This fight is plus 800 to go to split. Johnson, I don't think he's like the most powerful puncher, and his takedown defense is good. If this thing stays upright, I think Johnson probably has a volume advantage. And I think Ferreira probably wins the moments with like a couple of big shots. We know Johnson gets rocked. I could see this easily being a split. At plus 800, it's like an insane number. But if I'm going to play the Yambags, you know I'm not playing the split, right? You play the draw. You play a 50-1 draw in this fight. Now, I think this goes to split. I think the under being minus 155 is interesting. I mean, Johnson recently has been kind of, he's content to like stay out of trouble as best as he can. So I don't have like the strongest feeling here, but what do you got for this one?
Yeah, so I went with Diego. I do have concerns on the feet. I mean, Michael Johnson is probably one of the best strikers in the lightweight division, at least, if not like top three. He's just can't put things together otherwise. But he's one of the best strikers there are in the division. Diego striking is decent, but I don't think he can hang really on the feet. He's got a cage push here. He doesn't necessarily always go for takedowns, but he doesn't really have to. He can do it off the fence. I mean, I'm not a jiu-jitsu guy, but watching his scrambles, it's like, holy shit. Like, am I allowed to curse here, Lou?
You didn't really, dude. I've cursed like 35 times since we started the stream.
Okay,
you really were. You could smoke weed on the show. You could curse on the show. No ethnic slurs. I appreciate, especially against Italians, which is that's a no-fly zone here.
Someone came into my show last night with Wiz, and was it last night? No, 2 nights ago. And they were like, Wiz looks like the kind of guy who goes into a club and tells women he's Italian. And me and Wiz were just fucking losing it.
Well, I mean, I think that's a fair comment on Wiz, my guy. I see. To me, I figured he'd go in and be like, "I am a wild and crazy guy." Like, I mean, Wiz could totally pull off. I just moved to this country. Like, I need a place to stay, and then end up like fucking, in a like Mr. Finland and like in a bed with 8 women. Shout out to Wiz, friend of the channel, friend of the show, friend of ours. Sorry, Mike, go ahead.
Oh, you got it. And Pat, I can do one of those things, but not the other. Yeah, so Diego, I think he's going to win. I think he's probably going to submit Michael Johnson. I didn't touch the sub prop just because I've already put 2 units on Ferreira at minus 140. My prop play here, it's a total. I played the under 2.5 at minus 125. And I felt that that's the best way to kind of cover my ass both ways. I thought minus 125 was a great line for the under 2.5. And that way, unless a finish happens in the last 2.5 minutes, I think a finish will happen in the fight. I should be good. I think Johnson can definitely knock out Ferreira as the fight goes on. We've seen Ferreira as he's aged, maybe taking shots a little less well, taking adversity a little less well. And then Johnson can very well get subbed himself, 9 submission losses. I think if anyone can do it again, it is going to be Diego Ferreira. The opposition that Ferreira's faced, he hasn't subbed them because it's not easy. It's very not easy. Mateus Gamrod, Benil Dariush. I'm blanking on the one other one that he had that was also good. Gregor. Those are guys he's probably not going to submit. But even with them, he had crazy scrambles and took their backs. So I think he's going to find that sub. And if not with that under, I'll be covered with the knockout too.
All right. I'm actually looking forward to that fight. Like, I think it's like
top 2 for me.
It's a lot higher level than I think I don't know. I like it a lot. I like this
Johnson's
fight a lot.
high level. He's just like,
It
it's a
is.
weird career. It's a weird career.
He's high level for all but like 9 seconds of the fight.
The Clay Guida fight also kind of made me like Diego here. I know the control and the kind of wrestling is different, but if he gets taken down, he kind of gets stuck. And I think that Diego can make him very stuck.
All right. Let's move on to fight number 9. I do have a prop on this, but you will start. Andre Fialio against Joaquin Buckley. Buckley making a change here, going down to 170. Definitely be interesting to see how he looks on the scale and how this weight cut affects his chin with how big he is. What do you have on this one?
I have nothing. I want to touch this with the 10-foot pole. I'm not tremendously worried about Buckley coming down just because I think he always should have. He was always too small for middleweight. In an interview, he just said he moved down because he got tired of getting knocked out. Fair. My concern is he just got knocked out not too long ago by Chris Curtis in a very similar matchup where you got one guy who's going to lead the exchanges, move around a ton, and the other guy's going to sit there flat-footed and look for counters the entire fight. Chris Curtis, that's how he got him. Fialio, in my opinion, is also mostly a counter striker. I don't see him leading as much. Very plotting, very flat-footed. And against a guy like Buckley, I think Buckley's going to be able to just move around him, do his work. But at the line, it's unplayable money line. And the props, like the Buckley KO props, I'm not interested in because I know we've seen Fialio hurt. We've seen him finish. I know that even Cameron Van Camp wobbled the guy. So if anyone can knock him out, it's going to be Buckley, certainly. What is it? It's Buckley plus 120 is the best line. I don't like that. And Fialio knockout, that might be a way to do it if you think he could get it, because I think it's possible, plus 350. I don't know if I'm going to get that. I'm going to consider it, as the show's name suggests. One other thing that got me interested, Lou, was Buckley by decision at like plus 330, because he can wrestle. If anyone will wrestle, it's going to be him. He's done it in fights that we didn't expect it. In the Abdul Razak Al Hassan fight, if he feels the need, he'll do it. And he does do a lot of damage. He does hit really hard, and he does mix it up, so he's going to have a lot of opportunities to hurt him. But I'm like really kind of feeling the fight might go to a decision. So then it's like, should I play Buckley at plus 330? Should I just play fight goes at plus 200?
Well, let me expound on that one. What does a Fialio decision even look like here? Because I don't know how he's a counter striker with no wrestling equity. So I don't know how he wins a decision. Like, if it's going to be a decision, it feels like Buckley. We've seen fights like this, and this under is absurd. This 2.5 at like minus 190 is it's unbettable. We've seen fights like this with two powerful guys where they end up standing around and respecting each other's power way too much. We also have a guy in Buckley, again, coming down in weight. We'll have to see what he looks like early. And we have a guy that has some takedown equity. Does he have finish equity on the ground? Sure. He has ground and pound. Absolutely. But as this fight goes on, I don't think Buckley's getting a third round finish on him. Like, I think if this fight goes deep and Buckley's up 2-0, there's no reason to screw around. Take him down. Fialio's not getting back up. Probably his get up game's not good. And just win a decision. I would have liked a better number than plus 330, but I think that's insanely live here. And look, we saw this last week with Walker and Smith, where it looked like it should have gone under. I mean, for God's sake, Smith tried to get knocked out, and Walker would not accommodate him. And I know there were some sharp people that had Walker decision, and like, God bless you, man. Great pick. There's another fight where, like, yeah, the leg kicks were there, but other than Smith throwing like a headshot every 30 seconds, it's pretty low volume. Really wasn't, Smith wasn't in like tremendous danger for many points in that fight. So you never know in these kind of things. I'm not betting the round 3 Buckley submission at plus 9,000 as much as I want to throw like a shekel on it. I won't do it. I just found that to be a very oddly priced. I think Dontel May's round 3 sub at plus 12,000 against Hamdi is still like the widest prop I've ever seen in my life. But I mean, he lost in round 3. It's just, not exactly how I wanted it to go. All right, fight number 10, Emily Decote against Lupe Godinez. I will start. I have no props on this. I lean Decote. I like the price. I think you're getting a good spot for her here. I just can't trust Godinez to wrestle. I will bet this one very small, and that's all I have to say. I have no prop here I like. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I've been arguing all week that this whole Lupita not being into her wrestling anymore as much situation, she falling in love with her striking. I'm not buying the whole thing. I get she did it with Angela Hill, right? But first of all, she did that, right? And then she had a 15-minute striking match with Angela Hill. And Decote had a 15-minute striking match with Angela Hill. Who got outstruck almost by 90 significant strikes? It was Emily Decote. It wasn't Loopy. Loopy and Angela were head-to-head in the 90s. I think it was off by a few strikes, the difference. I'm not doing MMA math. My point is both can stand. Both women can stand with good strikers. Decote is a great striker. Most of her game recently seems to be looking for those leg kicks, and against a wrestler like Luke, that might be a great idea. But Luke also doesn't really depend too much on moving around. She's also a little bit plotting. So I'm not sure how much that's going to really change her game. And even if everybody's right, even if everybody is right and she's not going to wrestle, I still think it's a close fight. And then if she does wrestle, I think she's the clear favorite, and I expect her to wrestle. We've seen Decote get taken down by smaller women like Alicia Zapatella, by Kanaka Murata, I believe her name is. The Jessica Penne fight, she did defend all 9 takedowns, but those are very different takedowns from what Loopy's going to be shooting. So I like Loopy a lot in terms of props. I really can't give anything here that I wouldn't be like just forcing, because like I don't think a finish happens. I know
And nothing's priced well. Like the decision props are shit. Like
yeah. I mean, like the ITD, I remember seeing like Godinez is plus 925 while Decote's only plus 285, where I would have said they're probably evens to finish one another. I don't see a finish happening, right? So I don't want to force anything. For me, it's just the money line, and I don't see any good props here to even consider.
All right. Well, we are moving on to the co-main event, Edmund Shabazian against Fluffy Hernandez. Mike, start this one off. This is another hot button fight of the week.
Yeah, man. I mean, my gut feeling was Anthony Hernandez pre-tape. It's just because you think of the two guys, Edmund, who struggled with grapplers, and Hernandez, who's, in my opinion, a 185 Marab. Just relentless. Absolutely relentless. All he wants is to get in there, take you down, and then work. So I thought Hernandez was probably going to be the spot. Did my tape, and what did I see? The glaring hole that I think everybody's betting the KO prop because of. The dude has terrible striking defense, and beyond that, he'll just run right in there. The way he'll close the distance most of the time is he'll do this flurry, just dive right in there. And any person who can counter strike properly is very live to hurt this man. And we've seen him hurt on the feet even by guys who are credentialed counter strikers. Marc-Andre Barriault was landing very good shots on this guy on the feet. So for me, I can't bet Hernandez as a favorite, even with that huge grappling size, because he's going to be live to get knocked out, in my opinion, not just in round 1, but all of them, because he leaves himself open in all of them. I know Edmund will be more tired in round 3, so it's less likely, but I think that knockout will always be there. So I had to take that shot on Edmund plus 205, a half unit. And I'm going to get to some kind of late KO props, maybe round 2. I'm going to wait and see what we've got. Let me check it out. Plus 1,500 on FanDuel. What do you think, Lou?
Yeah, I like Shabazian. I didn't get in early enough. Shabazian round 2 KO at plus 1,200 is intriguing to me. So there's a lot I could really say about this one, but I want to talk about 2 fights with Fluffy. So the Barriault fight, remember, Barriault hurt himself really early, hurt his ribs. And Hernandez just kind of grinded him out. I don't think Barriault's that good. I think he's kind of wildly overrated. But I want to talk about the Fremd fight, where Fremd took that fight super short notice, and Fluffy started gassing in that second round, man. These wrestling exchanges, he did look tired against Fremd. I don't know if you agree with that or not, but I mean, I thought he didn't look the same as always. I like Shabazian's get-up game. I realized that, maybe Fluffy takes him down 10 times. But if Shabazian keeps getting up, especially early in this fight, let's see what their cardio looks like. I don't know. People just seem to think this is Shabazian round 1 where Fluffy grinds him out. I don't think it's that binary. I think Shabazian's got some. I mean, it's so hard to figure out with him. What improvements has he really made beating Dalcha is like, okay, but what I like is the maturity. He got away, like he changed camps, he took time off. He's like, okay, I'm still young enough to like reset and work on my game. So I think this is a pretty stern test. I think it's one he's going to pass. And I think he's going to get a finish here. I love the under either way. Love it here. But I'm going to ride with Shabazian in the distance, and round 2 KO at plus 1,200 is the preferred prop that I have. I still haven't heard a Yambag shot from you yet. Are you just waiting to the end of the show?
Oh, I was just waiting to the end of the show. I actually have a few. I can put them out now if you want.
Before we get to the main event, it's time for Yambags. Now I got to put this back up.
Okay. I mean, my first one, I'm pretty sure you said it too. Ferreira Johnson seems like a gimme in terms of that. Also, I have a question for you.
Yes.
If you have like because I know you're not just betting blind point deduction. You actually have a system to it, which is the best thing ever.
Weezy and I have cooked up a science that involves. Go ahead. Ask the question, then I'll explain.
So let me ask you. So if you have this system, right, that does seem to work, wouldn't you also want to bet the draw then?
Always.
You
always
do both?
back it up. Always back it up. You can't.
Okay.
Unfortunately, you can't like same game it. But I wish, dude. But always, you always have to. And
Okay.
I mean,
that was
look,
my question.
When you're going to cap a draw, what are you looking for? You're looking for somebody that can either get a 10-8 in the first, a 10-8 in the third. I mean, I'm not saying 10-8s don't happen in the second round, but you're looking for people that either have one round of cardio, or you're looking for guys like Darren Elkins who can like come on strong in the third, or you're looking for dirty fighters like Cameron Simon, where that point could matter. Like, can they win 2 rounds of the fight and get? So you're looking at this. So then you take that and you say, well, what am I looking for to cap point deduction? So Southpaw versus Orthodox is a big one. Open stances lead to some awkward exchanges. Guys that have rudimentary striking, you get weird stuff. Like you got a lot of eye pokes that way. And then you have guys that are gas bags against wrestlers because then you put cage grabs into effect. So look, it's not a perfect science, obviously, but there are things that certainly lend credence to like, how could this fight play out? Like as you play the fight script in your head, like it's certainly worth it. So, all right. So we got Johnson and CDF, and what's next for Yambags? Because there's a couple of Southpaw Orthodox ones on this card that are interesting.
I had a firm one in my head. 1 sec. I'm looking over to remember what it was. I feel like Garimbo Sato is a decent one.
So there you go. Cardio dumper in Garimbo. Low level striking against a guy who really doesn't throw shit. So very possible.
I got one more that I'm thinking. I wish I could bet these, bro. I hope they bring him to New York already. But Latifi Nascimento also kind of screams fence grabs to me.
Okay. I mean, you talk.
Those are my 3.
All right. Fialio Buckley was another one that I looked at, but like, I typically don't want to bet it if I think the round 1 bonk is in play. Like I learned my lesson with these Greg Hardy fights. Like I think Greg Hardy cheats, but he doesn't last long enough in these fights for it to happen. So like, I think the Type Burrow one, I'm like, fuck this. I give up with him. But let's get to the main event. Mackenzie Dern against Angela Hill. I hate to disappoint the crowd here. I have no props that I like here. I really want to bet Angie Hill. I like Angie Hill. I think she has certainly a decision equity here. I don't know if she has KO equity, but she certainly has a way to win this fight. The problem I have is, and I hate doing narratives, they moved this fight, they made it 5 rounds, they put it in a smaller cage. All these things seem to favor a Dern submission. I will be sitting this one out betting wise completely, but maybe you've got something. Maybe you see something that I don't hear.
I mean, Angela Hill is like the ultimate what if for me, because I bet her almost all her fights, and in all of the splits that she's lost, I had money on her. Had she won all those fights, as she should have, that would be a cash train for me. Fortunately, it hasn't been so. But the woman's been picking it up and doing what she has to do. Against Loopy, I bet her. Against Decote, I wanted to bet her, convinced myself not to. Kicked myself in the pants for about 10 minutes and then realized it was plus 110 and then I'm going to survive. I really like Angela in fights on the feet. I mean, that's pretty obvious. Her output is insane. striking has developed and developed and developed. And if you look how active she's been since 2020, I think it's like 7 fights in 3 years. The woman has been so active, fighting the best people. She's fought people who do grapple. Michelle Waterson Gomez. She fought Jandiroba, who beat her. And that's a concern for this fight because Jandiroba, once on top, kept her down. But overall,
but Jandiroba is also, I would say, a far more elite at top position than Dern is. Not in much as getting the submissions, but in terms of maintaining position, I think Jandiroba.
For me, the difference is that Jandiroba can actually get takedowns, whereas Dern not so much. I think the Dern takedowns have gotten better, but I don't really think they're quite there. And I'm not sure Angela Hill is going to give her any opportunities against the fence. Angela Hill, with her, I think if Dern wants her down, she's going to have to take her down. Once it gets there, it'll be worrying. But for me, overall, what I'm doing props-wise, I did the fight goes to decision. I got it at -125. I put enough to win a half unit back.
Not bad at all.
The way I like that is, the reason I like that is because my first thought was, what's Angela Hill's handicap? Because those are interesting in fights like this. It's plus 5.5. And I did the math. That means she has to win 2 rounds or get a finish. And what'd you say?
2 rounds. You're right.
Yeah, 2 rounds. I had to do the whole math thing. I'm not a math guy. But
I was told there would be no math.
After I looked at that, and then I saw that the price between, it was like -115 for that, and then it was -125 for fight goes. So I was like, why not just cover myself in case Dern does win the decision? So I played that. And then I also played a half unit on Hill decision only, -135, half unit. I felt that that's also a really good spot because, again, do I think Dern can win a decision? Yes. Do I think it's a very likely outcome? I really do not, because she's not wrestling. If she was wrestling on top of that jiu-jitsu, I don't think any of us would be considering Hill. But because she's not that great of a wrestler and she depends on these crazy exchanges to catch that back or bring them down, I have to think if we get there, it's going to be Hill. And this way, if we don't get there, I get half a unit back and I don't lose it.
And you don't think Hill has any finish equity here, right?
Man, I mean, to me,
very
it's like
very small if she does.
It's very small. It kind of like reminds me of like Bilal when people thought he couldn't finish, but it was Sean Brady, not someone like Mackenzie Dern, different weight class, not 115. So yeah, I really don't think she finishes. Nothing's impossible in 2023, but
all right. Well, we have made it. We have broken down the entire card, and I am going to stop doing that. Thank you for coming on the show. Always a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
Tell the people where they can find you, what you're up to the rest of the week. I know you have a busy day in a few hours.
Yes, sir. Yeah, so in terms of what I got going, Couch Warrior Pod for Twitter. I'm on Bet MMA as well. My links are all up on my Twitter. My YouTube channel has my links too. Couch Warrior Podcast. Check that one out. Subscribe. We're 5 subscribers away from 700. So
get them to 700.
Let's get those last 5, finish that. And then in terms of content, on Tuesday, I went live with mine and Lou's boy, Wiz Does. That was super dope. Wiz Does. That was super dope. Love having him on the show. And then in about 1 hour, no, I'm so bad at this, 2 hours, I'm going live on Twitter Spaces with MMA Propaholic, my co-host for our prop show. We're going to be talking about it. Prop has a very different way of approaching props, so it's dope to hear his stuff and then my stuff. And then my favorite part of the show is the guy can't pronounce a fighter's last name for the love of him. I already told him I'm going to make a compilation of his like enunciations of last names because it's just so funny. It's a dope show. I love the guy. He seemed to be pretty good. Make sure to check us out in 2 hours. And I'm going to try to put out a regional video for LFA today. It's kind of a shitty LFA card, but I'm probably just gonna put it out, and then I'm gonna.
Are you betting Tyler Veal?
He's gone. They canceled that fight. Canceled
a bunch
of them.
Damn it!
And then I'm gonna put bets up for ACA once lines drop. I want to do the other Polish promotion, Octagon, and that's all I got going. Thank you, Lou, for having me on.
That's all I've got going.
Talk some props, and yeah, thank you all for watching as well.
You can find me on Twitter, Lou Betya. I will be doing the happy hour alone tomorrow. In fact, there may be some major changes coming to that program. I will address that live tomorrow. I am also doing a Preakness breakdown by popular demand. Since I am coming off my first career trifecta for the Kentucky Derby, I will tell you who my pick is for the Preakness. Its first mission, by the way, is my pick. I will tell you how to bet because that's the real key. How do you get your equity on the Preakness? I will do a breakdown video tomorrow morning and post that sometime during the day before the weigh-ins. I don't want it interfering with my drinking before my Friday show, so I'll do it early in the morning. And then I think Brady's going to make me do best bets this week because I don't have a choice. I think it's my turn in the rotation to do it. So thank you guys for watching. Good luck, and we will see you in 2 weeks when my guest, for the first time, by the way, I'm just on this string of Jewish people on the show. The string of people that are Jewish for the first time ever. Dan Levy and I will be doing a show together. So shalom, everyone.
That's gonna be so good. That's gonna be so good.
Levy and I have never worked together, and he's one of my favorite people in the space. So I'm really excited about that. We'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Good luck this weekend, everybody. We will see you soon. Take care.